All right, let's take you back now to this conversation quickly with the political analyst and PhD scholar in international relations at the University of Tehran, Arif Hussain Alijani. A very good evening to you, and I hope this line holds. Thank you so much for speaking to us. We saw protests last month. Perhaps describe for us currently what the situation looks like on the ground, both politically and socially.
Thank you for inviting me. Yes, the current political and social situation in Iran is deeply concerned to its past. Therefore, no one, myself included, can discuss the reality of the last few months without understanding the correct before and after the Islamic revolution. So, to understand the political and social conditions right now in Iran, early days of the revolution can speak about the easily, because Iran has faced various crises from the very beginning. The major one was the 8-year war with Saddam regime, where the country had virtually nothing to and lacked the capacity to produce basic supplies. Iran's supreme leader himself stated that at that time we haven't have barbed wire to protect our borders. So subsequently, the country top leadership, including the president, prime minister, and a member of parliament, were assassinated. Since then, and to this day, it has faced the most serious economic sanctions from the Western countries, particularly the United States. Therefore, today's crisis is not new. It is the continuation of a war that the global powers initiated in 1979, one of the continuous in various forms. So despite all these crises, Iran today is much stronger, more developed, and more self-sufficient than the Iran of 40 years ago, and stands on one of the powerful forces in the region. Therefore, in my view, while Iran is certainly facing political and social crisis, the global powers are not succeeding in achieve their objectives through these pressures. So in political arena, attempts are being made to create a major divide between the government and the people. For this purpose, Iran saw unprecedented violent protests in the recent history, where result in the several deaths. These protests received direct support from Israel and the United States, yet failed to achieve their goals. So, in last, socially, the public is facing severe hardship due to the economic problems like inflation and unemployment, and especially the devalue of the Iranian currency rial as compared to dollar. So this had resulted in the protest demonstration across the country, where the government has controlled. Overall, Iran is going through a difficult period of political stagnation, social unrest, and economic hardship.
So, in light of what you're saying, then, what would you say Iran's approach is, especially when it comes to the negotiations with the United States, and what do you think it's hoping to achieve?
Yeah, Iran recently initiated indirect talks with the United States in Oman. Over the past 30 years, there have been several negotiations between Iraq and Iran and the United States, but nothing have yielded any significant result. Therefore, neither the Iranian people nor Iran government hold any great hopes from these breakthrough from these negotiations, because the United States has unilaterally opposed agreement made in the previous talks, particularly after the United States unilaterally withdrew from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which was signed between five powers and another power. So hoping for the success of negotiation is difficult. Furthermore, the United States show no respect for any international law, values, or global institutions. It make every decision solely to pure its own national interests. Therefore, this is no expectation that the United States will adhere to any humanitarian or ethical principle. Under such circumstances, negotiation can serve as a time-buying tactic, but no permanent solution in the sight. Iran primary objective in these negotiations to obtain relief from the sanctions, economic sanctions that are severely damaging its economy. So potentially Iran will try to secure the relief in exchange for some concessions in its nuclear program, such as reducing uranium enrichment level. However, Iran also views these talks as a defensive strategy to reduce the threat of external aggression. In short, Iran is pursuing the path of negotiation for regional peace and economic stability.
So do you think, though, that, you know, and I'm going to stay with something that you said, do you think its decision to say that its missile program is not up for negotiation could impact these talks?
Of course, it's crucial to understand that the missile program isn't merely a military asset. It's a cornerstone stone of its national defense strategy. In the region marked by the profound instability and faced with overwhelming conventional military superiority from its adversary, Iran missile serve as the indispensable deterrent. So think it as an insurance policy born from harsh historical experiences. During this Iran-Iraq war, Tehran has no means to respond to missile attacks on their cities. So a vulnerability it vowed never be repeated. So today the missile program entirely designed and built domestically. So ensure that no adversary can contemplate military aggression against Iran without facing self-credible and unacceptable cost. So Iran has constantly maintained its missile program is up for the discussion in diplomatic negotiations. It argued that the 2015 nuclear deal was strictly confined to nuclear issues. Bring missiles into future talks would effectively move to the goalposts. So demanding new concessions without offering corresponding incentives. Ultimately, for Tehran, preserving its missile capacity is synonymous for preserving its sovereignty and security. It is strategic red line rooted in the doctrine of deterrence and national resilience, basically.
So quickly, before I let you go, briefly, from an analyst's perspective, where do you see the situation in Iran heading in the short to medium term?
Yeah, Iran is currently suffering from the very serious economic difficulties, which certainly make the public discontent from its government, and these difficulties could increase further. However, there is no immediate prospect of its collapse. So the leadership, particularly Iran's supreme leader, is a very charismatic personality, and Iranian people hold immense love for him and are ready to endure all kinds of hardship and its sake. So whenever the toughest difficulty has come upon the Iranian people, the leadership has never led them towards despair, and he always emerged from very difficult times with its new strategy. Therefore, while country is certainly going through a difficult period of political and economic stability, where the government may have to make tough decisions on both internal and external fronts. So it has a historical demonstrated resilience.
I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Political analyst and PhD scholar in international relations at the University of Tehran, Arif Hussain Alijani, live for us from Tehran tonight.